Hello, so we're going to have a look at question 1D, and question 1D focuses specifically on shareholder returns. So the exact question is, using extract D, assess whether or not a business such as Barclays should focus purely on shareholder returns when making business decisions. So obviously we should start off by defining the key topic for this question. So we should define shareholder. So we should define what a shareholder is, and then we can answer our question. So the first element of our response should focus on, yes, they should focus purely on shareholder returns. Okay, so let's have a look at a reason why they should focus on shareholder returns. Well, one of the reasons that they should focus on shareholder returns is that they can maximize the profit. So by focusing on shareholder returns, it should help them maximize their profits. What can they therefore do with those profits that's going to be beneficial for the business? Well, what they can do is they therefore can reinvest. What could they reinvest in? Well, they could reinvest in improving the quality of service via increased training. And what would that do, for example? So that could be training staff, improving the to give a better experience to customers. So therefore, that would increase customer satisfaction. And what will therefore that would allow them to do is it may allow them to retain customers. And obviously retaining those customers allows them to maintain their market share. And obviously if the brand image is improved and word of mouth gets out about the quality of customer service at Barclays, then actually they may see their market share growing as well. So yeah, just that idea that their brand image does improve because customer satisfaction has improved, and that message gets out to the wider public that Barclays customer service is really good, then actually it may increase the market share. You may get customers moving over from other banks to join Barclays. So yes, they should focus on shareholder returns because focusing on shareholder returns allows them to maximize their profits, and with those profits they can reinvest the profit back into the business, and they therefore may improve the quality of the service, particularly customer service, and therefore it would improve customer satisfaction. So yeah, just add that little bit in there that the training is focused on improving customer service, and therefore that's going to improve customer satisfaction, retaining those customers, and you may even get some customers from elsewhere. So that's a reason why they should focus on shareholder returns. And then our argument is going to be don't focus on shareholder returns. So why shouldn't they focus on shareholder returns? Well, what has happened due to focusing on shareholder returns, we see a few examples in the case study. We see excessive risks being taken, and this can damage the brand image. So decrease brand image. So don't focus on shareholder returns because it can have a damaging effect on the brand image. So excessive risks were taken. In order to try and maximize profit. And then we see some specific examples. We see that they were accused of rigging the interbank lending rate. And obviously this brand image is going to put off customers, isn't it? Customers aren't going to go, oh, I know what, I'll go to join Barclays. Well, no, they may go to a competitor such as NatWest, for example. So, decreased brand image. Customers may move to other banks. If customers do move to other banks, then obviously the market share would fall. And also they may have a problem in attracting customers as well. So yes, we can see some negative impacts really with regards to focusing on shareholder returns. Don't focus on shareholder returns, because when they did focus on shareholder returns, it can have a negative impact on the brand image, because the excessive risk taken to maximize profits, with examples such as the interbank lending rate, negatively impacts upon the brand image. Customers may move to other banks, decreasing therefore Barclays' market share, and it may therefore negatively impact their ability to attract new customers. So that's why they shouldn't focus on shareholder returns. Let's have a look at another positive point we may wish to talk about with regards to focusing on shareholders. So focus on shareholder returns. So a reason they may want to focus on shareholder returns is it may actually improve the efficiency of the business. And at the same time, obviously, improving efficiency of the business is going to reduce the costs. And improving the efficiency of the business is going to be really important, especially in this day and age, because what we've seen is that at the end of the case study, it talks about customers demanding online banking and more convenient ways to make payments. Want more convenient ways to make payments. And the other point, there was the growth of online banking. So focusing on shareholder returns improves the efficiency of Barclays, and therefore reducing, because they're looking to reduce their costs. And therefore this may mean that, as the case study suggests, they may find more convenient ways to make payments, and they therefore may utilize online banking more. And what this is going to do, it's going to appeal to customers, isn't it? Because if Barclays maybe close down branches in order to give greater, better online service, for example, then obviously that's going to be beneficial to customers, because that's what customers want. So attract new customers, and it's also going to appeal to existing customers. And therefore, this may allow them to sell more financial products. And obviously, by allowing them to sell more financial products because the customers want to come, then that, again, is going to improve the profitability. Okay, so another reason for focusing on shareholders was that by focusing on the shareholders, the efficiency of the business would improve, but obviously looking to drive down costs. And this is specifically important because customers are looking for more convenient ways to make payments, and there's a specific growth in online banking. So by doing this, focusing on efficiency, Focusing on online banking, for example, attract new customers and it may appeal to existing customers, and it may allow Barclays to sell more financial products, and therefore that may improve the profitability of the bank. Then finally, we want to consider another reason why they shouldn't focus on shareholder returns. And one of the main issues here with focusing on shareholder returns is obviously if you focus on shareholder returns, you're ignoring other stakeholders within the business. Okay, and obviously that's going to generate conflict. So you shouldn't focus on shareholder returns. Conflict with other stakeholders. So, for example, Barclays closed a number of branches. So the closing of branches was obviously an attempt to make them more efficient and obviously drive down costs to maximise profit to then increase shareholder returns. But obviously closing down branches is going to conflict with potentially staff, because staff may be made redundant because obviously they're not required in that branch anymore because that's been closed. And also it's going to conflict with customers as well, because they may not be able to access may not be able to access a bank that their branch that they regularly went to. They may have to go further afield, or there may not be a suitable bank within the locality that they can branch that they can travel to within the locality, and therefore they may move to a competitor. So conflict with other stakeholders, closed a number of branches. So customers may not have access to a local branch. And obviously if customers don't have access to a local branch, they may be dissatisfied. So we may have customer dissatisfaction. And obviously that dissatisfaction, customers move to competitors. And obviously by customers moving to competitors, Barclays' market share is therefore going to fall, and therefore long-term profitability of the business may also suffer. So although in the short term they may have benefited from selling off a branch, for example, and closing a particular branch, they're going to conflict with customers, and obviously that's going to have a negative impact upon the bank in the long term, because customers may move to competitors. So then what we need to do is we need to have a judgment and the answer to the question, should they focus on the shareholder returns, yes or no? So focus on shareholder returns, yes or no, and just explain why. So you may argue that they shouldn't focus on shareholder returns because of the conflict with other stakeholders, such as customers and staff, for example. Staff fearing that they also may lose their job, so therefore productivity may fall and staff morale may fall. That could be a particular issue. Obviously, the issue that we mentioned with regards to customers being dissatisfied that they don't have access to a local branch, therefore they may move to a competitor. So focus on shareholder returns, yes or no, explain why, and then depends on. Have we got a relevant depends on factor that we can consider? And really what we want to think about is, in this question, we want to think about the long-term impact. So taking a shareholder approach is very much a short-term decision. And what we want to really focus on is we want to think about the long-term profitability of the business. So obviously, focusing on this, as I mentioned a moment ago, focusing on the shareholder is very narrow-minded and very much focused on the short term. And really, we want to be thinking about what the long-term impact is on the business. So, focusing on a shareholder returns depends on the long-term impact. If large profits can be maintained long into the future with a focus on shareholder returns, then this focus can be maintained. So if you wanted to focus on shareholder returns, and if that allowed you in the long term to keep making profits long into the future, then I wouldn't see any particular reason why they should change their approach. However, if it is going to be detrimental to their long-term success, I think they should focus on maybe more of a stakeholder approach and more appealing to a greater number of stakeholders, because that would ensure the long-term profitability of the business. Okay, so just to recap, define shareholders. Make sure your answer focuses on should they focus on shareholder returns or not. So focusing on shareholder returns can allow them to maximize profit and allows them to reinvest into the business. However, looking to maximize their profits and focusing on shareholder returns can have a negative impact upon the brand image. So therefore, it may not be an idea to focus on the shareholder returns. Again, focusing on shareholder returns can make the business more efficient, and particularly with the growth of online banking, this can be appealing to customers and obviously be beneficial for the business. However, becoming more efficient, for example, can have conflict with other stakeholders. So, for example, closing of branches may be at the detriment to the loss of customers because they obviously don't have a local branch to go into now. So therefore they may move to a competitor, and therefore that may damage the long-term profitability of the business. And ultimately, whether or not focusing on shareholder returns is the right thing or not is ultimately going to depend on whether, if you focused on shareholder returns, can the maximizing of profits and generating large profits be maintained in the future? If it can be maintained in the future, well then it would be, and it is sustainable, then continue to do so. However, if it's going to negatively impact upon the long-term profitability of the future, I suggest that an alternative approach is looked at.